Hi, my name is Bee, and I am a priestess of Avalon, and I'm standing here in my full priestess regalia in the center of our land. And the reason I wanted to come to you with this podcast is that I felt really compelled to spread a little bit more about what we're doing here, a new venture, a new beginning. It all started, however, in 2011 when I was diagnosed with a terminal illness, and I felt my goddess, Cerridwen, that I usually work with, come to me. And she's a very funny person, and she said to me, "Hold my coat, I'm getting my sisters. This is a job for more than just one goddess." And I never forget that. And it gave me faith. It gave me faith that what was going to happen to me was not going to be so bad. And she brought along these four beautiful beings. One of them was Hecate, and I had started working with Hecate when I first started on the pagan path some, oh my days, 30 years ago. And for years, I was a faithful servant to Hecate, and I learned all about her and I wanted to know all about her, but I never felt that I wanted to be her priestess, that I wanted to be somebody that was known in the world as her priestess. So I moved to Wales in 2003. And one night I dreamt Hecate being with me, and she turned around and she said, "Thank you very much for your service. I really appreciate you doing all that you have done for me, but you're not mine. I'm now going to introduce you to my dark sister, Cerridwen." And I was like, "Carrie who?" I had absolutely no idea who that was, which is foolish because, I started my life as a Wicca. And when you know Wicca, you know that we work with the charge of the dark goddess or the charge of the goddess. And Cerridwen is one of the priest goddesses that is mentioned in that. So for years I must have said her name and it never once registered. And I was never once curious about her, but I had called on her for years. So there I was, face to face with this new goddess that I knew nothing about. And I remember standing in a woodland in my dream and looking at this dark figure that had turned away from me. And I didn't know how to approach her. And the goddess that I had worked with was standing and saying, "Go on. She's not going to bite. She's a bit fierce, but she's not going to bite. You're going to be all right. Just go. You can do this." And that was the beginning of a journey with Cerridwen for over 20 years. But like I said, she's a very straightforward goddess. And in 2011, when I had that little blip, um, she said to me, "I need help. You have your sisterhood all around you. It is time that I was given my sisterhood." And she brought along her sister Hecate, my former beloved goddess, and she brought with her Morgan Le Fay. Now, at the time, I wasn't really connected with Avalon and Morgan Le Fay in the way that I am today. So when I saw her, I thought, "But you're not a dark goddess. Why would you be here?" But I trust Goddess and I trust what she does for me. So then the next goddess that she brought along that I was very curious about was Lilith. Now, I'm scared of Lilith, and it is the right way to be with Lilith because she is a minx. She is a trouble causer. She is a rebel. She doesn't give a hoot about any of the rules, doesn't give a care about order. She is chaos and she loves chaos and she loves herself. She shows us how to love ourselves. So when Lilith turned up, buck naked, I may ask, um, and she was wearing just a little girdle around her, and her hair was unbound and flowing in the wind, that red hair with those green eyes and the red lips. I thought, uh-oh, what is this about? What is this about? So there was Cerridwen in the north, there was Hecate in the south, there was Morgana in the west, there was Lilith in the east. And I thought, okay, who's coming forward in the center? Because there needs to be somebody in the center. Why is Cerridwen not in the center? And forward stepped this dark figure in Egyptian dress, black and gold. And I didn't recognize her, had no idea who she was. Later on, I realized it was Nephthys, Isis's dark sister, the mistress of death in Egypt. But at the time, I had no idea, and she didn't give me her name. And so the Dark Sisterhood was born. And for 6 weeks, until I had my next appointment, and I was going to be given this the information about treatments and everything, I worked with these 5 goddesses. I worked with the pentagram, I worked with these 5 goddesses. And they worked with me, and they worked their magic on me. And they showed me how to heal with crystals, with sound, with herbs. And they showed me a way forward, that my body is my temple, that it is their temple in which I house them. And so they asked me to step forward and be in my body. I wanted to hate my body. It let me down. I was ill. I was going to die. And I was so young still. And they kept saying, why don't you have more faith in us? Why won't you listen to us? Why won't you bring yourself into that place of surrender and trust? Eventually, I was surprised by the fact that I didn't feel any worse, and that actually some of the symptoms that I had before going to the doctor were mitigated, and that actually my spirit was lifted, and that I was adventurous and I wanted to see what was going on in the world. And I thought, well, I might as well, even if I have a limited amount of time, I might as well live my life as if there's no tomorrow. And today is the only day left. And I did so with the 5 of them. And I'll tell you, we had some adventures, some of which might make your hair stand on end. But there was a fair amount of nudity, courtesy of Lilith. There was a fair amount of dangerous cliff climbing and swimming in midnight pools, swimming under the full moon, um, encounters with men that couldn't quite understand what the hell I was doing as a lonely woman on a beach in the middle of the night. But I was protected by my sisters, so I didn't know any fear. I might as well live the life I wanted to live. After the 6 weeks, when I returned to the hospital and I had more tests, it came out that the doctors had somehow misdiagnosed, because there was no other explanation for why what they had found previously wasn't present then in my body. And they told me that there was a finite amount of time for me. That was in 2011. It is now 2024, and I'm still around. And I know that one of the reasons why I'm still around is because I've given myself over completely and totally to my dark sisters. And my dark sisters are looking after me, and they love me, and they hold me. Even when things get hard, they are there for me. And I just wanted to share some of my journey with you. And I wanted to give you all maybe some tips, some tricks, some ideas, some laughs, some anecdotes, some fun, and also maybe give you a way to connect with this amazing pentagram of goddesses. Now, I have had people question me, why didn't you include Kali, and why didn't you include Baba Yaga? Folks, I didn't get a choice who was included. I wasn't invited to that party. It was Cerridwen who decided that these are the people that I want to be friends with. These are the people I want to work with. These are the sisters that I want to sit in circle with. So for me, there was really no option. Am I interested in other dark goddesses? Yeah, of course. Will I be working with them? Probably not in this lifetime. But I'm not saying that you shouldn't. What I'm saying is that if life is tough, if you are struggling, if you are finding things hard, then why not invite your own dark sisterhood of the goddesses into your life? Why not call them in your dreams? Why not call to them in your prayers, in your invocations, and just say, ladies, be with me. Sisters, be here for me. Help me heal, help me understand, help me find hope and joy in my life. I cannot be any more joyful about the way that these women, these sisters came into my life. The adventures we had in the 12, 13 years that we've now been together are ludicrous, phenomenal, amazing, joyful, uplifting. You know, my life has changed completely because I trust. Even when things go in a direction that I don't expect them to go, even if I have a vision of what I think is going to happen for me, and that vision is completely blown out of the water, and they say, that was a really great plan. I think that was great. However, what's going to happen is this. And I always know it is for my highest good. It's for my greatest enjoyment. It's for my life energy expansion that these five, and very often I see them on some sort of Harley Davidson, and they're in their leathers with their big black sunglasses, bit like Tom Cruise in Top Gun, and they are go into some dive where they have a couple of pints together and enjoy some chicken wings and some good laughs and sometimes some raucous behavior. But there is that joyful part of them that is so often misunderstood in the understanding of what is a dark goddess and what is she for and why is she here. The dark goddess is from which the light is born, from which the hope is born. She is the one that loves us unconditionally, no matter what we get up to. She is our greatest support. She is that crowd that stands up and claps when we have an achievement. They celebrate us. They celebrate our life. They celebrate our achievements. And they hold us when we weep. They hold us when things don't go that well, when what we had hoped for doesn't come to pass. And I often hear them whisper to us, this too shall pass, and it wasn't meant for you, and there is a way through this, and you are not alone. So on that note, I'd like to leave you for our very first podcast on this YouTube channel. I don't know how many of you will listen to these, but it's a joy for me to make them. And I'm not a professional, certainly not when it comes to technology, but I have lived my life on the path of Goddess. And everything I do and everything I am is because of them and for them. And so I wish you the best here from Avalon, from this beautiful isle. I am B. Helligan, priestess of Cerridwen, priestess of Avalon, and a devout follower of the dark goddess sisterhood. Blessed be.